There's a harsh truth that almost no one talks about. Most people, by the time they reach 45, have already abandoned their dreams. In the mirror, they see only a tired face marked by defeat and resignation. They begin to believe that time has passed, that opportunities have slipped away, and that it's too late to start over. But what if I told you that this is the greatest lie you've ever believed? What if I revealed that there is a secret, discovered nearly a century ago, capable of transforming your life even after 45, 50, or 60? The problem was never age, nor circumstances. The real obstacle is invisible, hidden in your mind. Thought patterns that act like chains, limiting every step you take. Have you ever wondered why some people flourish in maturity while others merely survive? Why some at 50 build true empires while others at the same age struggle just to get by? The answer lies in a fundamental principle most ignore. Your mind is like a garden. If you don't consciously plant seeds of prosperity, the weeds of mediocrity take over. And the longer you let that happen, the harder it becomes to clear the ground. If you believe this could transform your life, subscribe to the channel now. This simple gesture helps us continue creating content like this and could be the first step toward your great transformation. Let me share something that could change your perspective forever. There is a force within you that doesn't weaken with age, doesn't wear down with time, and instead grows stronger with experience. The power of autosuggestion. It is the process of feeding your subconscious mind with creative and positive thoughts. That's how you program your mind for success or for failure. At 45, you have an advantage you didn't have at 25. You know what doesn't work. You've tasted failure, and paradoxically, that's your greatest strength. Why? Because true desire is born from pain. When the weight of lost opportunities becomes unbearable, that's when the energy for transformation emerges. As it is written in Proverbs 13:12, hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life. But beware, desire isn't just wanting. Burning desire is a constructive obsession. It's when you want something so intensely that every part of you works to achieve it. It's when you stop planning escapes and start planning conquests. And here's something few realize. After 45, you gain access to something the young don't yet have: applied wisdom. You've made enough mistakes to spot patterns. You've been disappointed enough to value real opportunities. And you've faced fears that gave you true courage. The problem is that society has conditioned you to believe your best years are behind you. They've taught you that innovation is for the young, that change is risky at your age, that stability is worth more than growth. These are the lies that keep you stuck. But here's the crucial detail. Your subconscious mind doesn't understand age. It doesn't know if you're 45, 50, or 60. It simply executes the commands of your dominant thoughts. If you feed it limiting beliefs, you'll live a limited life. If you feed it thoughts of possibility, your mind will move mountains to make them real. Think, how many times a day do you tell yourself, I'm too old, it's too late, I don't have the energy? Each of these phrases is a direct command for your mind to create exactly that reality. Now imagine replacing them with thoughts like, my experience is my advantage. My maturity brings me clarity. My best years start now. How could this simple shift transform your life? And this isn't just positive thinking. That would be too shallow. It's about recognizing that after 45, you possess something priceless: discernment. You can distinguish illusions from real opportunities. You understand the value of time and no longer waste it on trivialities. You know the cost of failure, so you treasure every chance at success. As Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. Maybe your season of greatest prosperity didn't come at 20 or 30. Maybe it's starting now, precisely when you have the maturity to receive it and the wisdom to sustain it. And to show you this in practice, I want to share a story that could easily be yours. Antônio Ferreira, 48, was a plumber in Campinas, São Paulo. Every day he woke up at 5:30 a.m., drank a bitter black coffee, and left for another long workday fixing leaks and unclogging sewers. Until one Tuesday morning in March, after 25 years in the same trade, he received the news that would change his life. The company he worked for was shutting down. "Sorry, Toninho," said the boss, "but we don't have enough work for everyone anymore. You know how tough things are." That night, sitting on the porch, looking at the bills scattered across the plastic table, Antonio felt the weight of all his 48 years. Maria, Antonio's wife, cleaned 3 houses a week to help supplement their income. Even so, the money barely covered rent for their modest home in Vila Industrial. "What now, Maria? Who's going to hire an old plumber like me?" murmured Antonio, stirring his now cold plate of pasta. Maria stopped washing the dishes, turned to him and said, "Antônio Ferreira, since when are you old? You've got more plumbing skills than any young guy I know. The problem isn't your age, it's your mindset." That night, Antonio couldn't sleep. He kept replaying his wife's words. Was the problem really in his mind? He realized how many times throughout the day he repeated to himself, "I'm too old for this. It's over. My time has passed." Then he remembered Mr. Joachim, the retired neighbor who always said it was possible to program the mind. Antonio had always thought it was nonsense, but that night, in his desperation, he figured he had nothing to lose. The next morning, he went to his neighbor's house. "Mr. Joachim, you're always talking about this mind stuff. How does it work?" The old man smiled. "Sit down, son. I'll tell you something I learned from foreign books when I was younger." He explained that the mind works like a radio antenna. It picks up exactly the frequency you choose to tune into. If you keep repeating that you're old and out of chances, your mind will work to confirm that. But if you change the frequency, everything changes. "What do you mean, Mr. Joachim?" asked Antonio. "It's simple. Every day when you wake up, instead of thinking, 'Here comes another hard day,' you'll think, 'Today I will find a new opportunity.' When you look in the mirror, instead of seeing a tired man, you'll see someone experienced, full of knowledge." Antonio left, thinking it all sounded a bit strange, but he was desperate enough to try. The next day, he began following the advice. Every morning, standing in front of the mirror, he told himself, "Antonio, you are the best plumber in this city. Your experience is worth gold." At first, he felt ridiculous, but after a week, something unexpected happened. He started walking the streets with his head held high, noticing opportunities he used to ignore. That's how he spotted a sign one day on the door of a commercial building, looking for a plumber for monthly maintenance. Normally, he would have thought, they probably want someone younger, but this time he reflected, they need someone reliable, experienced, someone like me. He knocked on the door and was greeted by the building manager, a man in his 40s who asked skeptically, "Do you have experience with commercial systems?" "I have 25 years of dealing with every type of plumbing in this city," Antonio replied, with a confidence he didn't know he had. "I know every pipe, every leak. Nothing catches me off guard." He got the job. The pay was $800 a month for preventive maintenance. It wasn't a fortune, but it was a new beginning. More than the money, Antonio felt valued for the first time in months. Little did he know this would be just the start of a much bigger transformation. 3 weeks later, while doing maintenance in the building's restrooms, he overheard 2 businessmen talking in the hallway. "I can't take this anymore, Jorge. Every month, it's the same thing. A leak here, a clog there. I spend more time finding a plumber than running my business." At that moment, Antonio had an idea he never would have had before. What if, instead of being just a plumber, he became someone who solved plumbing problems once and for all? That night, he shared the thought with Maria. What if we started a different kind of business, not just fixing, but preventing, creating monthly contracts like a health plan for plumbing. Maria was surprised. "Tonino, where did that idea come from? You've changed." "I have, Maria. Now I see opportunities where before I only saw problems. Starting a business at 48 with no capital seemed impossible." But Antonio remembered another piece of advice from Mr. Joachim. "When you have a burning desire, the universe conspires in your favor, but it has to be a true desire, not just a wish." Antonio began feeding his mind with a clear vision. He imagined himself as the neighborhood's pipe doctor, solving problems that other plumbers couldn't even identify. He pictured himself approaching clients not as a simple worker, but as a specialist. He started small. He offered free diagnostics to 3 businesses in Villa Industrial. He spent weeks studying each system, taking notes in an old notebook. He showed a baker, for example. "Mr. Manuel, this pipe here will burst in about 2 months. If we replace it now, it'll cost 150 reais. If you wait until it breaks, it'll cost 500 and a lot of headaches." The baker was impressed. "How do you know that?" 25 years of watching pipes burst. "You learn to recognize the signs," Antonio replied proudly. Within 6 months, he already had 12 fixed contracts, ranging from 200 to 500 reais per month. Together, they brought in almost 4,000 reais, more than he earned as an employee. But the true turning point came during a routine visit. While doing maintenance at a clothing store, the owner, Mrs. Rosana, commented, "You know, Mr. Antonio, ever since you started taking care of my plumbing, I haven't had a single headache." Before, Mrs. Rosana lived in constant fear of seeing her store flooded. It was in that moment that Antonio understood the true value of what he was offering. He wasn't just selling plumbing services, he was selling peace of mind. He was selling the assurance that problems would be solved before they even appeared. This realization completely changed the way he introduced himself to new clients. Instead of saying, "I'm a plumber," he began to affirm, "I guarantee you'll never have plumbing problems." The difference was immediate. Within a year, Antonio already had 30 contracts and had to hire his first assistant, a 22-year-old named Rafael, whom he personally trained. "Rafael," he used to say, "anyone can learn technique. What sets us apart is understanding that we don't just fix pipes, we take care of people's peace of mind." 2 years after the day he lost his job, Antônio Ferreira had something he never imagined, a company with a brand name, Ferreira Preventive Plumbing. He had 4 employees and a monthly income 3 times higher than what he earned as an employee. But the greatest transformation wasn't in the numbers. It was in how Antonio saw himself. He was no longer an old, tired plumber. Now he was a businessman, a specialist, someone people sought out to solve their problems. One December night, as he hugged Maria on the porch of the house they had finally managed to buy, he said, "Maria, do you remember when you told me that the problem wasn't my age, but my mindset?" "Of course I do, my love. You were right. I spent years programming myself for failure. When I changed the programming, everything changed with it." In that moment, Antonio understood a truth he would carry forever. Age is not a limitation. It is accumulated experience. Time is not the enemy. It is a teacher. And the mind, when programmed the right way, knows no impossibilities. Today, at 52 years old, Antonio Ferreira is not just a successful businessman. He is living proof that it's never too late to start over. As long as you're willing to reprogram your mind and awaken the transformative power that already exists within you. The truth is simple. Your best moment may be starting right now. All you need is the courage to believe and the wisdom to act.